Yeah, it can move these 40s no problem. Not even struggling. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be reviewing the all-new AEV Prospector XL. Before we get into the video with this crazy truck, I do have to mention a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Sandy, Utah for giving me some time with this truck. This is available for sale, so definitely check them out. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Now, the Prospector XL is built off of a Ram 2500, so that means that it has the lower output version of the Cummins, which is good for 370 horsepower and then 850 pound-feet of torque. It's a turbo diesel, 6.7 liter inline six. Now, before you complain this isn't a 3500 with the high output, the regular 6.7 liter Cummins with the 68 RFE transmission weighs less than the high output, which is important for off-roading. Now let's go over the front end of the Prospector XL, and funny story, if you actually look up masculinity in the dictionary, it shows you a picture of a Prospector XL. Okay, all jokes aside, you guys can see you've got the cab lights at the top. It's a factory option you can get with the 2500. Now this is actually built off of a Night Edition Laramie, so we've got the blacked out 2500 badge, which looks fantastic. And then notice here with the headlights, they've also been blacked out, and you can see the LED daytime running lights, and then the grille has also been blacked out. So we've got these off-road lights, which are going to help out with visibility at night. And then we have a winch, which is obviously going to help you get out of sticky situations with the truck. And frankly, it just looks cool. And look at just how beefy these tow hooks are. It's just crazy. Still have the stock fog lights. So notice that even though this has this crazy massive brush guard, it still accommodates all of the stock lights, which is fantastic and obviously practical. Now, I couldn't find official ground clearance specs on the Prospector, but the Ram Power Wagon, which we of course can't see a Power Wagon anyways, has like 15 inches of ground clearance. This thing has 40s. Yes, it has 40s. So I'm guessing this thing has like probably 20 inches of ground clearance, something ridiculous. I mean, you guys can see here with this front bumper, I mean, this is like, that's a lot. That's a big distance. And so, yeah. That's the front end. So first off, tire and wheel setup, 40 by 13.5 by 17. So this is a serious off-road setup, front and rear. You guys can see these special wheels that they have as part of the Prospector XL, and they look so cool. And this has sidewall, not for days, but for years. And you guys can see just how aggressive these tires are. These are like the chunkiest knobs ever. I kind of expect to see tires like this on a tractor, not on a truck that you drive on road. Now, in terms of the suspension, this has 3-inch dual sport RT suspension, so this is lifted compared to a factory 2500. Obviously, it has to be to fit these 40-inch tall tires, but we'll kind of talk about this more when we actually drive the truck so we can see how that suspension compares to stock. And you guys can see here at the rest of the setup, we do have a solid front axle just like other 2500s. That is unchanged. And something that I think is pretty funny is this actually has marker lights because of how wide it is. That is pretty cool. And you guys can see here with the fender flares, these are absolutely massive and they look fantastic. We have our AEV Prospector XL badge here on the side, and then also with the trailer tow mirrors. And well, if we take a bunch of steps back, actually I don't have enough space on this side. We're gonna have to go to the other side. This truck is that big that I've got to walk all the way over here just to get you guys the side profile of this truck. It is definitely mean and in your face. Now here is our key fob for this truck. You guys can see we've got the unlock, the lock function, remote start, and then the drop down for the tailgate. And bada bing, bada boom. You can see we have a spare tire here in the bed. Yes, it is in fact a full-size spare, and so it is absolutely massive. And it's kind of like one of the key looks of the Prospector XL, because you just have this gigantic tire sitting in the bed. And other than that, we do have a power outlet here in the bed. You guys can see here with the LED bed lights, and this bed is probably at least like 4 feet off the ground in terms of like the tailgate. So yeah, you've got to start doing some overhead pressing so you can lift stuff up into the truck bed of the Prospector XL. Now finishing things up with the rest of the rear, you guys can see here with the taillights, and again, being built off the Night Edition package, blacked out in the center, and then you got the blacked out Ram logo, and then the Cummins badge. We have our AEV badge, and just look how this is all reinforced. And this obviously is not a stock bumper. This is purposefully shaped to help out with departure angle for this truck. So you can see that because we don't have a, well, we actually still have a spare tire underneath. I was about to say, I don't think we have a spare tire underneath, but I guess that you can use that if you want. But because we don't have a lot of stuff happening here in the back, departure angle is actually pretty dang good with the truck. And also, look at the size of the heavy-duty rear differential. That is one chunky boy. But I want to talk about a big benefit here of the 2500, and that's the fact that it has coil suspension in the back end. The Ram 3500 has leaf springs. Coil suspension is a lot better for off-road purposes because it's going to make this truck ride smoother, and it's going to make it so that flexing is just a little bit better with the truck compared to leaf springs. And so this is the obvious setup if you want to build an off-roader like the Prospector XL. And then notice here with the marker light, and also it's a big mud flap, but it's good that it has it because, again, 40s. But there you go. So here is the door panel in the rear. You guys can see this has a normal Laramie door panel with all of the markings. We do have our custom AEV headrest, but the rest of the seat is normal Laramie, which frankly they didn't need to change it because it's very nice interior. And then you guys can see with the blacked out trim there, USBs, and then the outlet as well. And we have our under seat storage. Now this is built off of a crew cab and not a mega cab. I don't think a mega cab would have worked. I'll show you guys in a second why, but anyways, whoop. So here's a front door panel, again, same as everything in the rear, and then the mirrors do power fold in. And here is the Payload sticker on the truck. You guys can see Payload is just over 1,500 pounds. So again, if this is built off a mega cab, the Payload would be even lower, which would not be very practical. So AEV headrest again, but then Laramie logo down below that. And then you guys can see with the pedal layout, and we have our light control right here, and then with the outlet pedal adjustment. And let's get in. Normally I don't show this, but these side steps help out quite a bit. I can just pretty much pop right in. Ooh. Now going over the rest of the interior, I'm not going to go over every single feature. I'm mostly going to focus on what I consider key components here. So we have the normal Laramie steering wheel, so there's not much to go over there. We do have radio controls in the back, something a lot of people forget. And then we got a good old column shifter, which is important. Now we do have these custom AEV gauges right here, which I think looks really cool. I love the coloration that AEV does. And then we still have that center screen, which is great. And you guys can see what the tire pressure is set at right now. So right around 40 for everything. And then we've got the 12-inch display. Now I'm interested to see what this has from a camera perspective. Just as a backup camera. That is definitely interesting. So going from that to the rest of the infotainment system, main things, climate controls on either side, shortcut bar here at the bottom, and well, it's easy to use. Now notice this has 6 auxiliary items. Some of those are already tied into the lights in the, for example, you guys saw on the rear bumper, it had some lights there, and then with the front bumper with the lights on top of that, you got the auxiliary switches tied into that as well. But obviously there's space to add more items if you want with this, but I don't really think it needs anything more. Diesel exhaust brake, right, trailer brake controls. And then notice here with the drive line select, we have a 2-wheel drive, a 4-wheel high, 4-wheel low. There is no 4-wheel auto. There is hill descent control though. And then with the center console, what's that? Oh, cool, another little AEV thing. That's pretty cool. This slides backwards and forwards, which is definitely fun. And then you guys can see here with the little outlet, and then it's got the normal Laramie glove box setup. And then we do have a sunroof here. And then we have a power sliding window. Ooh. And all black headliner. Now this is the window sticker for the Laramie part of the truck. Again, this is a 2022 Ram 2500 Laramie Night Edition, and total MSRP on this originally was $80,830 before the AEV package. Now, the AEV package has 2 different things to it. So you've got the standard equipment that comes with the Prospector XL. Now, the thing that I want to focus on is right here. We also have the AEV hydraulic assist steering. So they do add some assistance because, well, Yeah, you need a lot to move 40s, so it's definitely good that they do that. But you guys can see the rest of the stuff that comes standard with this. This does have some options added to it as well, as you guys can see. And notice here, after all options added to it, total MSRP is $117,189. And, well, the most important thing, which I guess I gotta show you guys from the rear because I don't have enough space there on that side, is does this actually drive well with everything that's been thrown on it? Let's see. Ooh. Well, let's talk about visibility. So, over the hood, both of the mirrors, throughout the rest of the rear. Also, that tire does get in the way a little bit, but it looks so cool, so who cares? Let's set off. Man, I feel like my name should be Arnold Schwarzenegger to be allowed to drive something like this, because this thing is an absolute beast of a truck. So, let's see how the Prospector XL drives. Pretty cushy ride so far, actually. Tons of torque from the Cummins. That is not an issue whatsoever. This is amazingly smooth, actually. Yeah, that dual RT suspension is very impressive. This honestly drives more like, this is gonna sound crazy to you guys, but this drives more like a Raptor than anything else. Even though it has solid front and rear axles. And you guys know that I recently reviewed the Shelby Super Baja, and well, I hate to say it, but this drives a lot better than that. Now, one thing going against the Super Baja is Ford still uses leaf springs in their Super Duties, so that does kind of impact things a bit, but this is very comfortable. Like, coming from someone who owns a TRX and the new Gen 3 Ford Raptor, I would be completely fine with daily driving this from like a comfort standpoint. It is so comfortable. See how the skinny pedal does? Tons of torque out of that Cummins. Again, 850 pound-feet is no joke. And the 2500 comes standard with a 3.73 axle ratio, or at least this one has it. So it does help out quite a bit. So torquey. Yeah, it can move these 40s no problem. Not even struggling at all. And we're at 4,500 feet elevation, people. This truck is amazing. I kind of want one now. My wife would kill me if I went and spent $117,000 on another truck, but I kind of want one now. This is, okay, so here's the best way for me to describe this, is like most heavy duty trucks drive like absolute garbage. And this doesn't. Like, not only does this actually handle pretty well for having 40s, it's so smooth. Like, this is the smoothest. Like, Chevy and Ford have nothing on this, and Chevy freaking uses independent front suspension on their HD trucks now, and their HD trucks still, that's not gonna help me out at all, their HD trucks still aren't as smooth as this. How the heck did they manage to do this? I will say, this is such a heavy truck. Braking definitely, braking's definitely a thing. Now, I want to see how this goes over. This is a really stupid test, but I want to see how this goes over a curb. Again, we've got like 2 bajillion inches of ground clearance, so we are fine. Look at that. We're off-roading. Boom. Whoa, that is so comfortable. I am absolutely in love with this truck. So if you happen to have $117,000 just lying around, this is the coolest diesel truck I have ever driven. And I sincerely mean that. Like, I don't know what, because like the Ram 2500 already rides pretty smooth, but this is like on a whole nother level. And I understand the 40s having a massive amount of sidewall helps out. I understand that. But it's not just the tires, it's also the suspension this has. And this isn't aired down. Like, this is crazy to me, because if you could air these down to like 20 PSI, no problem. and it would ride even smoother. And that's obviously what you do if you're off-roading this. Whew. Good job, AEV. AEV, if you're watching this, we should do an off-road collaboration. I want to see how one of these performs off-road, but like on-road, there's nothing to compare this to. There's nothing that in the HD series of trucks. And actually, you know what? This is what we'll cap things off with. This is what the Power Wagon should have been. And since the Power Wagon isn't this is what you should go for instead. That's going to sum things up for our video on the AEV Prospector XL. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Dodge Ram here in Sandy, Utah for giving me some time with this Prospector XL. Check out the info in the description down below. I'll see ya.